George, how are you?
Everything good, brother? How are you?
Good.
Can you hear me well?
Yeah,
Yeah, because
definitely.
I'm here in our new studio and it kind of echoes a little bit, so I just want to put these on. How are you, man? Everything good?
Yeah,
How's life treating you?
it's been okay. It's it's
Yeah,
it's the coronavirus, so
I
we
know, man.
I
I know.
think
Crazy times.
I've adjusted to this for right now and uh hunkering down. How about you?
Man, you gotta do something, right? You gotta evolve. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm here. Like I said, I'm here at the office in our studio. I've been, working away all day, and it's, nice to enjoy a cigar with you and have a little chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, just everything good, man. Just working, working a lot on a bunch of different projects, but it just this whole pandemic thing and has made us evolved and just kind of explore different routes and stuff. But everything's good, man. Can't complain.
Yeah.
About to
Um,
light up a fresh box of our Camacho Nicaragua that I just got from our humidor. So you know,
I was saying earlier this year with class. I think he was maybe the third person I interviewed like this. So I was
uh-huh,
thinking to him and Lana and Eddie,
Eddie,
that you all have really pivoted really quickly. So it's nice that you
you
all have
have to,
gotten
man.
used to it because it seemed like some companies didn't know what to do. And
Like,
you all kind
exactly.
of said, hey, this is going to last a little bit longer than people probably want to admit.
Yeah,
So,
well, the thing
let's
is
get
that
a
it
new game plan.
the thing is that is the new normal, man. You know what I mean? So this evolution, it's here to stay. Basically this whole virtual thing. I think it's a lot easier. You can evolve quicker. And it's just you can tweak it to where it evolves in a proper way. But yeah, man, this is a. I mean, I miss traveling. Don't get me wrong. But we are getting our job done, and it's just while keeping everybody safe. But yeah, man, this new normal, it's here to stay, man.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
definitely, I know you all have had plans, marketing plans, and things that were going to go on this year that you just had to kind of change up, not put off, but kind of change up how you're going to roll out. But you've released a lot of products this year. You've had a nice marketing plan behind it. So I'm looking forward to talking about a lot of those
The
products and a
the
lot of those
dates the
things that you've
dates were
done.
messed up. The dates were messed up a little bit, but the products are out there. And yeah, well, we'll talk about Camacho and a little bit of Avo as well. But yeah, man, like we our playbook is always filled up, every year, right? The activation of certain things may have shifted a little bit, but the products were released, right? Camacho, Nicaragua, Liberty, those are the two main focuses of a Camacho, and Avo, the LE 2020, the Improvisation 2020, and the Avo Classic Maduro as well. Also, we have just to kind of like go through them. We have the North and South edition as well that are ready to go. So these I think I've had one of these cigars. I haven't had both of them yet. So the blends are outstanding. I just haven't had them. I can't give you my perspective. I'll probably smoke it a little bit later. But yeah, it's been a busy year, man.
Yeah, so like what I like to do with deep cuts is trying to go a little bit deeper with people than what they're used to. They read some of my stuff in the magazines in tobacco business and
Yeah,
cigars and leisure. But depending on which magazine I do, the story never really can go too deep. If your cigars and leisure is for consumers, so we never go into the business side, the nitty gritty of how you do
exactly,
it. If it's the trade side, then it's the complete opposite. We go into like the business, and you never really dive into who the person is, what they're
exactly,
doing. It's not that type of vehicle. So this is kind of a nice, I'm doing it on my own platform because it's kind of a middle ground. We
exactly.
don't have any initiative. We don't have any marketing, advertising behind it. It's just,
But you've been doing well, man. I don't know how many episodes you've had, but I'm certain to quite a few because I've seen. Well, you've had us a couple times. plus the rest of the people that you've interviewed. But no, it's great, man. I like it. And you still doing it on Instagram, which is cool. You know what I mean? Some of the people do it on Zoom, Facebook, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But Instagram, I think this is the way to explore the Instagram lives, right? Two people at a time. I think it's pretty cool. So you're doing a phenomenal job on that.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've done a lot of virtual events this year, but with Zoom, you don't know where to focus sometimes. Like, and there's sometimes like if somebody doesn't have themselves on mute and it's rustling around, the camera will zoom on them anyway, and you'll just be sitting there awkwardly looking at them like,
Wait,
why am I focusing on you? You know, the person will be speaking, and it will be like the focus will be elsewhere. And then with Facebook Lives, it's just like the viewership is usually so low, and then like
yeah, it's just
that video.
it's crazy. It's crazy. What I do like about Facebook Live, which I'm sure Instagram will probably evolve into that, it's just the way the orientation of the video, right?
Right.
We're in two little squares here, but it's a great tool. It's just that it'll evolve into maybe landscape or something, however it is. But I think yeah, so that like you were talking about the Zooms, we've done quite a few, because that's how we evolve some of our platforms for our events, since we can't go into stores and some of the stores have been closed. So we've done that for Avo and Camacho. So basically, doing virtual events where recently some of the stores have opened up and they've had people at their lounge and also their virtual customers, and when you tackle those two things at the same time, I think it's extremely beneficial, because I'm on a screen in the store, I'm not there physically, which that is what I like, but hey, we gotta do what we have to do. But I think it's worked out very very well, just given the circumstances.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I've seen it. You all have just done it. You have like the weekly or bi-weekly episodes that class or somebody else will head up.
There's one today. There's one today, which is actually should be very very interesting, with Thomas Keller, if I'm not wrong. That's the one that's going on today. Class will be joining him later on. I think it's like at 7 or 8 o'clock. I'm not quite sure, but that one should be a very interesting. He's a 3 Michelin star chef, so it's I'm sure that whatever pairings he has to do, he has a very well developed palate. So I'm probably gonna tune into that one and check out what he's got to say about it.
Yeah. So with our conversation, I want to, because you and I have ran into each other over the years at different events, but I've never really gotten your story from myself.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to learn about your story, and have people share it, because people usually watch this in playback anyway. Now that they're back at work and traveling around and moving a bit more than they were during quarantine when I first started this. So I'm really interested and excited to share your story, to have people learn more about you, since you play such a big role especially with Camacho and, like you said,
Exactly.
Davo as well.
Yeah, man, I've been doing this for 8 years now, here at Davidoff, and I started with, give you the rundown. I've been in the industry for about 16 years now, and I started in the retail side, managing a store in Miami. Then it evolved into getting an opportunity to open up a cigar shop also in Miami, in an area in Brickell. And that lasted for a few years, and I wanted to venture off on my own. It didn't work out. I just didn't have the funds at the moment to do so. And it happens to be that within a month of me leaving my partnership in my store, they called me here from, actually Dylan is the one that reached out to me and kind of offered me something here at Davidoff, right? He didn't disclose it at the moment, what it was, because that was the relaunch, the revamp of Camacho. So I came up, did my interview and all that stuff. And towards the end of the day, I remember it was probably like 5:30. They took me to the to our conference room and showed me what Camacho. Remember, I had been in retail then probably a good 8 years. I have dealt with Camacho, the brand, when it was acquired by Davidoff and all that. But when so I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then when I saw what the product was going to look like, what they had done to the brand, I was astonished, man. And right away I wanted to be part of it, right? So, long story short, later on that night, I got the job and all that, and that was 8 years ago. So I've been part of the evolution of the brand for since day one. I was the last piece of the puzzle. When we did the revamp, and later on, I think Aboy picked it up probably about 2.5 years ago, where we had some shifts here in the company. It was just appropriate for me to just kind of do what I'm doing with Camacho, and do it for Avo as well. So it's been quite the journey, man. 8 years, 16 years in the industry, 8 years in at Davidoff, which to me I consider probably the best company in the cigar business to work for. And I'm honored to be here, and it's my day to day now that I moved to Tampa, because I was in Miami. I think we kind of talked about this when I saw you in February, but I moved to Tampa just to be closer to the office and kind of be part of the evolution of the creation of the programs and the incentives and all that stuff. So that's worked out pretty well.
Yeah. And so you started off in retail, and I found that most of the most innovative and invested people in our industry have started off in the retail area. So what was that like working in retail? Because that's such a different thing than what you're doing now.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. What I'm doing now is when I started in retail when I was 18 years old. I was 17 and change, but so I was, kind of underage when I started back in the day. But let's just say 18 years old. I was managing a shop in Coconut Grove, Miami. Super busy. A lot of product was being moved in that store, and because everybody wanted to be in that location, all the reps and brand owners and stuff like that went through there, and I started meeting everybody. So I became friends. A lot of our people are based in Miami as well, and I started making friends, and from there is just easy access to new releases and stuff like that. But I absolutely love the fact that I was able to. I'm doing it now, but that's a different story because I had a variety of things that I could offer to someone, right? When a customer comes in and then just it's either their first cigar or they don't smoke that many cigars, but I just kind of like tailor their smoking experience, right? Either come from a milder cigar to a stronger cigar, so on and so forth. But just dealing with consumers, and then obviously you have your guys that is like, you try to offer them something, like, no, I'm XYZ cigar, and then that's it. They don't want that. There's like other cigars when don't exist. So it just kind of like tailoring the smoking experience to the consumer. It's what I miss the most, and obviously all the new releases, right? When you have a store, and then later on when I opened my store in Brickell as well, same story. Everybody wanted to be there, blah blah blah. And all the new releases, we got to try firsthand and stuff like that. So it's just, but what I miss the most is just the interaction with the consumer, right? When you have that person that comes in, and it's like, well, I'm looking for a cigar, I'm looking for a gift, whatever the situation may be, just that. And once they smoke it, if they happen to smoke it right there in front of you, just that enjoyment that that your recommendation created, right? So that's pretty much what I miss the most on.
Yeah, and the consumer is such an important part of the industry that sometimes they kind of get forgotten because you focus on getting your product into the store or getting it into the retailer, and then some brands do a little bit better job at making that next connection, which is then working with their consumer to drive the demand into the store.
Exactly. So, and you got to do it, and then you nailed it on the head. You have to make sure that you're targeting the consumer, right? And you're rerouting them to go into the store, because our customers are the retailers, right? That's our bread and butter. Those are the ones that sell our products. We do have our e-commerce and stuff like that, but it's nowhere near what our consumer, our customer, that with the retailers, So everything that we try to do is to try to send them to the retailer. Whatever program we create, our Zoom virtual events and stuff, right? It's all so that the consumers go to the stores, right? And kind of like further engage with our business partners, which are the retailers. So that's a very important thing. Some other brands may lose that notion, that they want to be like, okay, you're a consumer, you buy it, then you come this way, it is what it is. Everybody can do whatever they want, but our main goal is to reroute consumers so that they can so that they know where to buy the product at the retailers.
And I know at Davidoff, you all have like such a good marketing team behind you to help push all those different initiatives and activations. You have, and then you have Eddie with his experience with activation.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so, and especially nowadays, because it seems like for tobacco people in general, especially with premium cigars, you don't have as many places to market or advertise your products as maybe you did in the past because of different laws. I mean, you can start a YouTube channel, but you know,
there's a lot of restrictions.
Tobacco related, you know,
it's a lot of restrictions.
Right.
Yeah.
And same with Facebook. You can't advertise on Facebook like another product. You can't do Twitter. You can't do Instagram stuff. So
yeah, and I'm surprised that, you know, well, we're on our personal ones, but if I had joined on the Camacho one to promote something, I don't know, we may have been banned, which is it's crazy, man. Yeah, we in our industry we do have a lot of restrictions. You know, I mean, just the FDA being one, and then all the restrictions with Facebook and Instagram and the publishing of advertising and all that stuff. It's very restricted, so you have to get creative, right? You have to get creative in ways, and I believe the consumer has gotten a grasp of that as well. Mm-hmm. You know, they're understanding when it comes to that, just because there's nothing we can do. You know what I mean? Those restrictions are way outside of our league in terms of controlling them and stuff. So it's you know, you just gotta get creative.
And a few minutes ago, you mentioned, you know, how Dylan brought you into the fold, and he seems to be like the master of finding good talent and then recognizing each person's special ability. I would say almost like his own Avengers team.
Exactly. You know, and that goes to tell you he's a tremendous leader. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now that he started when I started years ago, he was a brand manager, head of marketing. I don't recall, and then he's evolved to where he's the president of the company now. You know, so he's a tremendous leader. You know, he's a person that teaches you a lot. I every day I learn from him. You know, when he talks, it's just sometimes I'm like, what? You know, and everything makes sense, but it's just, you know, he goes in depth when it comes to anything that has to do with our company or the industry in general. So he does have an eye for talent, and he makes sure he nurtures that talent, right? So that everybody wins.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's important, like you said, to have a leader that is hands-on, that does know
you don't need
what's
a boss,
going on
you need a leader.
The industry, because if you don't, then it's kind of hard to navigate or make any plans.
Exactly, and then you can make costly mistakes. You know what I mean? Or you don't place your product the proper way, and so on and so forth. It's very important to have a great leader, and luckily we do have one here at Davidoff, right? So yeah, we with Dylan we go way back, and I've seen him in the years that I've been here. I've seen him involved in all the categories of the company. It's pretty rewarding to see. You know, and also work on a day-to-day basis with a person like that. It's pretty outstanding.
Now tell us about Camacho, because I know some people might know the full story of Camacho, some people may not. So just tell us a little bit about that brand.
Okay, and I see where you're going. So Camacho, it belonged to a gentleman named Simon Camacho. Right, he started it back in 1962. Then in I believe it was 1992, he passed away. Right, and then the brand was based out of Miami. Right, and in the year 1995, the Aroa family, right, purchased the name of Camacho, and they kind of put together, which is Corojo and Camacho at the moment, and then the Camacho that we know now, well, not the packaging that we know now, but the brand that we know now, was launched into the U.S. in the year 2000, right? And it was launched to disrupt the industry with a bolder cigar, right? Prior to that, all cigars were pretty much mild to medium, because that's what, you know, kind of like left off from the boom. Everybody, and in fact, our Camacho Connecticut, for example, it's our best-selling cigar, which is our mildest cigar, right? So it goes to tell you that the volume, the masses of people like milder cigars, at least in our case. Then from the year 2000 to 2008, which is the period where the Aroas were kind of involved with the brand. And then in 2008, Davidoff purchased the brand from the Aroa family. And, at that point, the evolution of the transition of the company happened to where it used to be a sole company. Now it became part of a family of brands. And I wasn't around for that, but I've heard the stories. It was a bit complicated to, the ones that came from, because Dylan came from Camacho, in fact.
Right.
Yeah, he came from Camacho. So to kind of put all that team together, it was a big hectic at the beginning, but then years passed, and finally in 2013 is when we did the revamp of Camacho, and then it became Davidoff's Camacho, right? We were able to execute all the visions that we had for the brand, starting with obviously the new packaging and so forth. But that's Camacho in a nutshell. Basically, we're the makers of the boldest cigars in the world. That's pretty much our slogan. That's what we intend to do. And in every single blend that we create, right, that becomes part of our core line, for example, it's we try to fill gaps in the portfolios of that we have, right? And that's just the main goal of the brand. Like I was mentioning, our Camacho Connecticut, it's the best-selling cigar that we have. But then again, you have the Corojo, which is our baby, right? It's the DNA of the brand. Full Honduran Puro, different grades of Corojo in it, but it's all Corojo. So it depends. All of the Connecticut, it's a beast of a cigar. It's tamed because it has a nice creamy wrapper, but what's under the hood that I like to call it, it's very Camacho-esque. It's got a lot of power, a lot of flavor, and it's got that signature Corojo taste that the brand is known for. So all of our cigars have Corojo in them. So that's a very distinct factor that we have on our cigars. So we make sure that all those cigars have that flavor profile that Camacho is known for.
Yeah, and I was about to ask, what goes into making a bold cigar that doesn't completely blow out your palate? What's the process? What's the process like? Because I'm sure a lot of people now, consumers today, really are interested in how cigars are actually made and the tobacco that goes into them. We don't need to get into the details of all that, but just like what's the process like to bring together like a Camacho cigar that works?
It is. I mean, that's a very complex question, right? And it depends on what blend you're looking for, right? What gap you want to fill. And then once you narrow down what gap you want to fill, then you go into pretty much you go into the kitchen and try to put together the recipe, right? And then now that recipe, if you want it to be bold, then that goes down into what type of tobacco you're going to use, right? And once you get to that stage, most likely if you want a bolder cigar, then you're going to use tobaccos from, Visos or Ligero, which is, the topper part of the plant. And mostly the higher the grade of the tobacco, the higher on the plant, it's exposed to the elements a lot longer. So that tobacco by nature, it's a little bit stronger. So that's more of the way, I could go into detail and stuff like that, but it was just some of the consumers probably would not make sense. But basically that's and also including this Corojo that I'm talking about in all of our cigars. So that's what kind of has the benchmark in terms of strength, right? That gives our signature flavor profile. But it all depends, because there's, you probably have, I don't know, you can probably try 20, 30 different times one blend, right? And different percentages of tobacco. You have, obviously, when you pick your wrapper, you have to try different quality wrappers. The binder, it's a little bit easier, but then you have the filler, right? It's where you play with the percentages. You could go 33%, or you can go 20%, 40, and then you start tweaking it like that. And when that happens, it takes time, right? And then it could be, a couple of years, like the one that I'm smoking right now, the Kamacho Nicaragua. This one's been in the making for a couple of years. I recall when it was last year, the year before, if I'm not wrong, when we were at IPCPR, we were smoking some of these unbanded, obviously, and we were testing this blend 2 years ago, at IPCPR. And it takes time, and it's a very complex thing. But when you have an idea of what gap you want to fill, that's the most important thing, at least for us, when we come out with a new cigar, right?
And talk about the branding and packaging a little bit, because you all also take a completely different approach to that. Because I know somebody a few minutes ago mentioned the diploma and its packaging, and it's not like your conventional,
No,
cedar box,
not at all.
whatever.
Not at all.
If you saw this in a humidor, which I have, you walk into a humidor and you'll see like a humidor filled with your typical cedar boxes, and then the diploma is like a presentation within itself, and it's a centerpiece. It's like something that makes you it compels you to like, can I afford to buy the whole box just
Exactly.
to have that presentation piece and keep it?
or we crank up the volume, just another notch, and you see one of these in stores, the shop and shops, the Camacho shop and shop. So that's like the pinnacle of our impactful packaging idea, right? Our shop and shop. You can't really say well because it's a little square, but these things are just outstanding. Impactful packaging. That was the idea at the beginning when we did the revamp. It was just funny, man. Everybody gave us crap about the colors and then the disruption of the sea of brown that we call it. All when you go into a humidor in a store, all the boxes are brown, small labels, blah blah blah, very traditional. So we were called different types of things that were like, the bands are too cheesy, they're big, they're colored, Camacho with their rainbow, blah blah blah. But all that had an intent, a purpose. This was all thought out, by an agency. There was psychology behind it, just easier to remember the colors, right? Because a lot of people don't even know how to pronounce Corojo,
Right.
but that if you're looking for a Camacho, you're looking for your red label, that's the Corojo, right? Or the orange or the yellow or all the other colors that we have. So that was kind of like what made it easy, and that was the intent in terms of the colors, and then just the packaging. We needed to make it Davidoff's Camacho, right? And then just our packaging, our 14 coats of lacquer that these boxes have, it becomes a piano finish, and it's beautiful, right? And the price point on something like that, when it comes to when you're gonna give it as a gift, for example, it's pretty outstanding, right? And and I've seen. It's funny because I have one right here. You can't see it, but I have people that made like a guitar out of a Liberty box and stuff like that, right? So our boxes get a lot of reusing, but I think when somebody goes in, let's just say a novice that goes in and doesn't know what cigar, and the sea of brown that you walk in and it's overwhelming, you see something with colors that may not be the brand that you're gonna pick, but at least it's gonna call your attention. You're gonna walk over to that section, or if we have a shop and shop there, it's definitely gonna grab the attention. And these things were, at least the shop and shop idea came from Davidoff, right? Our shop and shops that we have in our appointed merchants. That's what gave the idea to the Camacho shop and shops, and also Avo. On the other side of the studio, we have the Avo shop and shop, which is outstanding as well. In terms of square footage, you can fit a lot in these shop and shops, right? And you can display our brands in a way that is just kind of like it's not, you pretty much don't see that sort of display being used in the cigar industry, because it comes to a cost, but it just the result is something, for the consumer, it's like a wow factor.
Yeah, and I know, I've seen the shop and shop in several of your appointed merchant stores that I've been in. Like you go into Anstead's here in North Carolina, Havana Fields, you see Sure Things always posts pictures of their shop and shop, and the lighting. Paul talks about the importance of the lighting. So
and Paul knows all about that.
But it's I think that's what makes Davidoff different, because you all aren't just relying on people putting your stuff on a shelf. You're giving them a way to present it, merchandise. a way to merchandise it that controls how it's presented. It's not just
Exactly.
like I said, it's not just like thrown there and then that's it. You're like
exactly. And that's what we grabbed that formula basically and applied it to Camacho, and then we get that same impression on customers, right? On customers, and then also it actually makes the store's humidor look even nicer. We have stores where all three shop-in-shops are aligned, and it's just like, wow, it looks like you walked into a Neiman Marcus or Nordstrom or something, because when you go in some places, you have Chanel that has their shop-in-shops, you have Yves Saint Laurent, stuff like that. So it's that was the idea, and then also elevate the perception of the brands to the consumers, right? That we're not just some small brand that just puts boxes together and then whatever, we'll try to sell now. We're here for the long run, right? Our quality and consistency is at its best, right? And that also takes a lot of time. We were talking about what the process of putting a blend together and launching it to the market, blah, blah, blah. But once the cigar is ready to, it could take up to 5 years for a cigar to reach the consumer's hands, right? And for that, it's just a lot of patience, a lot of discipline when it comes to pretty much babying your tobacco, right? And then it goes into the aging period and all that stuff. But yeah, it takes up to 5 years for at least one of our cigars to get to the consumer's hand. That's just time. Some other companies just don't have that much time, right? You got to turn the product, and that goes further going into the quality of tobacco that they use, right? How long do they let it, ferment or age and all that stuff, and it's very complex. But yeah, so going back to the shop-in-shops, it's just I think it's the best way to present our product.
And I mean, Camacho is made in Honduras, which is different because you hear a lot when you hear tobacco. Mostly, it's either in Nicaragua or it's Dominican Republic.
Yeah, exactly.
And, Davidoff is big in the Dominican Republic, and you have Nicaragua products. But just talk a little bit about Honduras for those of us who have not been and
man, and we were this close, this close. So yeah.
For those of us who have not been and who have not experienced it yet, that scene. What is the Honduran tobacco scene like?
But let's explain why you don't know this yet, right? So Antoine, you were supposed to go with me to Camp Camacho in Honduras. I think it was like probably the week or like 2 weeks before our trip or something like that. You were just right there. Yeah. And then this whole COVID thing happened, and then I had to cancel all my trips mid trip. So I have stuff down in Honduras still that I have to go pick up. I was just like, okay, because when I go for a couple of months. I come back and forth, but I take all my luggage and stuff like that. It makes it easier, blah, blah, blah. So I left a lot of stuff there. So Camp Camacho, that is the way that we are bringing consumers back into what Honduras and the tobacco scene in Honduras, right? And Camp Camacho did exist in the past, right? It had about a 10-year hiatus, more or less, and we brought it back. Officially, about 2 years, full season years, and then this year was going to be the third one. Unfortunately, it got cut short. It was out of our out of our hands to control that. It's just for safety. It just was not going to happen. So that's why you were not able to share this experience. But first of all, our facilities in Honduras are probably the nicest facilities, and I've even had other manufacturers and a lot of people that go and visit other brands down there. That they just drive by our massive, beautiful factory, and it's just it's an icon, right? And it's a statement of the brand. Our people down in Honduras are proud to work at Camacho just because of everything that is offered, the facilities where they work at, all the care and all so on and so forth. Also, we have our beautiful house where you would have stayed. That it's everything within the compound, and it's Camp Camacho is a 4-day, 3-night just trip full of adventures, right? Fortunately, like I said, this year was canceled, and most likely 2021 will be until things get back to normal. I probably will be seeing you back down there in 2022. Right. Just to be realistic, right? But which sucks because I think that's a perfect way. And then the trips that I was able to do this year and then the previous years, when you take somebody down there, right? And I've taken some serious cigar smokers but they have never been to a tobacco farm. They don't know. They have never touched a plant, right? And see how sticky it is and how to prime it and all that stuff. And then just the smells and the curing barns and all that stuff. I think that is just when you take somebody that spends their hard-earned money in these products, right, that are handmade. Sometimes you just don't see and you don't gauge the price. Sometimes, right? You're like, oh, why is this cigar X amount? Blah blah blah. But once when these people, when our guests, when I took them down there, they come back as like, oh my God, this Camacho is only $9. I should pay 20, 25 for it, just because I saw the whole process of it, from the seedlings to the curing barns to the plant to the actual crops, and then the curing barns, and then that's pre-industry. Then it goes into the factory, fermentation, aging, sorting, and all sorts of things that is just it's very intriguing to those that don't know about it, right? So that's and Camacho is probably one of the biggest makers of cigars in Honduras, so we are well known down there. Especially in the area of Danlí, which is where our factory is. And like I said, man, we have, close to maybe 1,000 employees down there between farms and factory when we're full throttle and everything. And everybody's, it's pretty happy to work with the brand.
Yeah. I'm looking over here at some of my stuff, because I brought out some of your cigars that you have released this year.
Okay.
So we have the Liberty series, and I know somebody earlier asked about the Liberty series, and it's something that you look forward to every year. Very nice presentation. This nice coffin, like you can see it, the light kind of bouncing off of it, so it's not dull or and anything, then, which is nice.
And going back
cigar.
Going back to the impactful packaging,
right?
This is the box. Right, this is the box, which I have it here. Somebody made a guitar out of this, but yeah. So this is our 18th installment of the Liberty. Each year we try to outdo ourselves, from the previous year. I think this year in particular, it's a little bit different than some of the other ones that we've had. We because traditionally we use the 1118 size, right? Mostly Corojo and stuff like that. But it's just this one, first off, is a 6x60 Gordo, right? It's the first Liberty that has that. It's on top of that is box press. First Liberty to have that as well, right? And then we changed the blend a little bit. So this one's got like a Habano wrapper. So it's got some Corojo in there. It's got some Dominican and Honduran tobacco in the filler, a combination, but mostly the Honduran tobacco. It's going to be Corojo, our higher grade, our pride and joy that we've been saving for these limited editions. And then we tweaked it a little bit using that the Habano wrapper on that one, which is it's a first for the Liberties as well. So every year we try to outdo ourselves, and but I think this one is like one of the ones that definitely stands out, just because of how beautiful the box is. It's the first time that we have a box that kind of mimics our full box, our core boxes, right? Which is all pretty much. The other ones are traditionally, all the Liberties were very rustic, right? The boxes were made in our factory in Honduras, so very rustic, and that was the idea of it. But with this one, we just changed the game completely, at least in our end, because it's just that this one's got the the whole lacquer finish, piano finish. And it's a beautiful piece to have to showcase, right? So that's another thing that this one pretty much I just blew it out of the park. It was just outstanding, and the blend it's really good. I not a huge fan of the 60 ring gauge on any cigar, but the box press thing just kind of like it just I'll commit to the 660, but in the box press, right? I think it makes it a little bit easier to smoke. Just also the draw helps out, and just the combination of the blends, just the way that the combustion happens within the cigar, being a box press, it's pretty outstanding. So yeah, we're very happy about this one. We're doing pretty well with it, and I think we're already working on next year's, which again is going to be. It's going to rival this one, all right? And obviously, we're going to try to do something different, just because consumer is demanding. They want, and then this is the one that the price point's a little bit higher than your usual Camacho, right?
Right.
But it goes to tell you, from the individual coffins and then just the quality of the box and everything, we make it more of a collector's item.
Exactly. And that's what I always that's what I appreciated about, like you said, this product, but a lot of the Camacho stuff is that you put a lot of thought into the packaging, the artwork, the presentation of it. So when you see the price point, yes,
Full circle.
it could be higher than some of the stuff that you buy, but you understand it. And then especially if you get to see the process behind making a cigar, then you understand even more so why that price point is a little bit higher. It's not just you all trying to make more money. It's you're making the presentation and the, like I said, there's a lot that's going into it. And I know as a graphic designer, you always want to design something that people are going to want to keep. And even after you smoke that cigar, you're going to want to keep that box. You're just not going to take it and say, oh, I'm just going to toss it away now.
You're not going to toss that one away.
Exactly.
No, not at all. But I think it's just like we were talking about, it's a collector's item, right? So every year, even though the price is a little bit higher and it's a limited edition, but not just that, this product, since Davidoff acquired Camacho and then we revamped, Camacho became a global brand, a true global brand, right? So you have Camachos that are being, sold all over the world. Some other companies don't have that reach. So now we have to cater to the world's taste when it comes to spending a little bit more for a cigar that's traditional, a little bit less, right? And not just that, I would be giving away the recipe, but just some of the tobaccos that go into cigars like the Liberty it's tobacco that we've been waiting for 5 years for it to be ready, right? 6 years or something like that. It's just we've been holding to that batch of tobacco for 6 years so we could make a cigar and sell it, with this whole beautiful, impactful packaging and everything. It's a full circle. Our idea that we want to deliver to the consumer, right? And then the flavor profile, we have 18 other ones that we've created in the past. So every year we have to, because there are some people that have all of them, right? I manage the Camacho account on Instagram and our social. And I do have sometimes people send me pictures of the old ones and this and that. I'm like, wow, I haven't even tried that one. You know what I mean? I've been around for a while. And then my job at the beginning when I started was to buy or to, kind of trade with our customers all the older Camachos. So at some point I had quite a substantial amount of older Camachos. And that was the idea, just get them off the shelves replace it with a new one. But in essence, what goes into these liberties that are a little bit more expensive is just love and care, and then really, really good tobacco, because our quality and consistency and our quality control and everything are very demanding, in DR and in Honduras. So we can assure you that what goes in there, it's the best that we could offer at that moment in time.
Somebody said, will a Scorpion Camacho branded ashtray ever exist? Is that something you all will consider?
I don't have it, but we do have it.
Well,
we do have I'm in the studio, and then my office is like half a block away. And then, have you been to our warehouse?
Yeah,
it's pretty huge. So I'm in one end of the building, and this thing is like half a block away. So, but we do have an ashtray that it's our badge, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just a shape of the badge with a scorpion in the middle. So it is available. Hey, Sarah. Hey, look at Kelly. Latin Thunder. Oh man, since I'm not on the road, I haven't exploited my Latin Thunder nickname. But yeah, I don't know if you know that. That's my industry nickname, Latin Thunder.
That's how when I was working with tobacconists, when Ben came on board. Mm-hmm. I know he came up. He went on some trip. Maybe it was the Scurio thing. I don't know, but he met you, and he was like, "Oh," and then we were working on some story for something. He's like, "Oh, that's Latin Thunder." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was just like, that guy in that picture. He's like, "That's Latin Thunder." And actually, it was a picture of you at Kathy's store. So it was just like,
that's crazy.
It was like at one of the Camacho activation events. So I was like, I just was like, okay, whatever you say. But I thought about like asking that question, like, where did that name come from?
Okay, so that one was a very rough night. This is at the beginning. I had just started, with Camacho, and then we flew up to New York to meet with our agency, and we happened to be at the Madison store down in the basement, and Booth was with us at the moment, right? And just a so a couple of bottles of bourbon later, towards throughout the night, we I have recollection of Booth looking at me, and just him with this, it's like looking at me, it's like, "You're the Latin Thunder."
That
And
sounds
the
just like him.
and the people from the agency were there, and they're like, "Oh my God, we love that. Stick to that." And that's how it started. That was the night that got started. And then it took me a little bit to digest, because I'm like, yeah, that's a little cheesy, Latin Thunder, whatever. But man, when it grew in me. And then when I was doing our road tours, that I did the 3 national road tours, that I was driving around the entire country doing activations all over the place, and we've even had it on some of our posters. So now it's just it's in here, the Latin Thunder. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the handle for Latin Thunder. Somebody else has it on Instagram, because that would have been a good one to have. But there's different variations of it. But no, it's but yeah, that's my industry nickname, Latin Thunder, and it's been published a few times, and it's just it's great. It grew in me, but thanks to Booth, and that's very Matt Booth.
Yeah, it is.
I'm the Latin Thunder.
So the person who was asking the ashtray said, when will it be available for consumers to buy?
What?
The Scorpion ashtray that you were describing.
So as you already, well, you probably don't know, but those are gift with purchase items, right? So our main idea is to sell the cigars, and then for that we produce, accessories and things to go with it and help the retailer sell our product, right? So I mean, it is available. It is an item that has been available. Now, I don't know our sales reps, our ASMs. That it's up to them and the retailer. So I don't know. I know we have some here in the warehouse. Yeah, but I just keep your eye out. You could basically call the store, or whichever store it's their local store, see if they carry Camacho, which most likely they will, and then see if by any chance you can connect our ASM with, because the ASMs can order it. I can't send anything, and I can't sell it, because we just don't sell them. They're available. It's just you have to. It's a bit of a you got to go up the road with that and try to put together. But they are accessible. They are available. Obviously, you have to make a purchase of Camacho to get it, but they're out there, and we have plenty. We have a few hundred left of those. It's a very hot item to, somebody buys a box, gets an ashtray, and they come in a nice little box and all that stuff. So whoever asked, I'm not quite sure who asked, but they are available. You just gotta, kind of put it together, call your store and search. Yeah.
So you talked about the Liberty, you talked about the Nicaragua. What I like what you all just did a couple weeks ago, which I know some people may have missed, is that you did a cookbook, which is like not a release that a lot of people think about in the cigar industry. And I know some of our other cigar media peers kind of probably looked at that and was like, a cookbook, like that's what they're working on. But I thought it was, as somebody who likes to cook and likes food and stuff like that, I thought it was a great idea.
It's an accessory to an experience, right? And it's a continuation of our Camacho Grill and Chill, right? That soon we'll actually this week we'll be launching something, another contest for Camacho Grill and Chill around the cookbook, right? So the cookbook, it was just, in one of those moments where we're like, okay, we need to expand this campaign. What ties into, the grilling and the smoking experience and everything. And then we're like, man, a recipe book, a cookbook, you know what I mean? There's a bunch of different ones there. When we hang out with the boys, we follow some of the recipes to try to put something together, or, a rack of ribs, this or whatever. We love to grill. And we're like, okay, nobody else has done that. That's just amazing. You know what I mean? Because we don't do anything that some other people have done. That is one thing that we have. We're very innovative, creative. We don't try to replicate anybody's game. So this is just outstanding. Actually, today or tomorrow, we're gonna get a hard copy of it just to see how it looks. But it's available for download. If you go on our Camacho Cigars handle, it's the link is in the bio. You can download it. It's free. There's I think as of right now we have about 25 different recipes that you can try out, and also we've put together cigar pairings with it. And I think the cigar pairs very well with whatever it is that's being with the recipe, right? So each recipe has a different cigar and stuff like that. But it's outstanding, man. It's pretty cool. We've had some great traction with it, and it's just it's fun. You know what I mean? And we're also making paper copies of it, like a hard copies of it that we'll be distributing as possibly gift with purchase or just as gift. Maybe we'll put together some influencer packages to share those. But it's pretty cool, man. The Camacho cookbook, it took a while to put together, just because we went through different chefs and stuff like that, and not everybody delivered, blah blah blah. So it took a little while, but it's finally out. It's available for download on Camacho Cigars, and soon, possibly by the end of this week, we'll have a contest that's going to be around that. So I don't want to give the details because we're actually preparing everything as we speak. But yeah, it should be pretty cool. So everybody should get their propane tanks ready to go, or get charcoal for their smokers, because there's going to be a lot of grilling going on, and we have some pretty cool stuff to give away as well. So that should be very interesting. That's as much as I can say right now. We'll share more details later on in the week.
And like I said, I downloaded it, so I can vouch that it is a very nice put together book. The whole key for a cookbook is usually the photography. So you look through the photography of this book, and it's just as good as anything else, right? Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, so I've looked at those pictures so many times in the process of putting everything together, right? And then we formatted the also, which I was planning on doing it today, and most likely I'll do it today. So we formatted the recipes into a story format, right? Because we thought about, what's easier when you have a reference to something, you either take a screenshot or you have it saved as a picture. It's just the easiest way, all right? So we have it, we're formatted to where the stories, the recipes on a story format, so it lives in our on our highlights. So all of them will be available. We'll be posting throughout the weeks, but it's just easy. You like something with these outstanding pictures of it, and it makes my mouth water every time I see it. I've seen them plenty of times, and that way you can just screenshot it and then just do the recipe at home. I think it's just an easier way also, because downloading the cookbook, it's one thing, but then it goes to iBooks, and there's a couple of steps. A picture, it's like this. Right, you go into your photos, and then that's it. There's your recipe. So it has all the stuff, all the ingredients, preparation, cigar pairing, and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. We're very excited about the cookbook.
Yeah, like I said, to me, it was one of those innovative, different things that you all have done. People are at home. It was still, I know here it's starting to get cold, but summer was still going on. People were grilling.
Where you are in North Carolina now?
So I'm in Durham.
And Durham, okay.
So it's like that's right outside of Raleigh.
Yeah. So I've been up and down North Carolina many times, man, with the truck and the trailer. I love North Carolina. Beautiful. But yeah, we've here in Tampa, we've had the past 3-4 days have been outstanding, right? Low humidity in the 80s, but it's nice. But the past few weeks we've had rain because of all the storms that have been going on.
Right.
The Gulf,
y'all
and
get like
the humidity.
storms.
Yeah. Thankfully we haven't had any hurricanes or any like storms hit. It's hit everywhere else. The Gulf, Texas, all that, and then the Atlantic, but it skipped Florida completely, and we're like right in the middle. But yeah, it's just the weather here has been just terrible. Apparently the humidity is coming back, but little by little we'll evolve into the fall, which here it's amazing. People will be like, oh my God, but it's the same thing. You're in the same state. I like the weather here in Tampa. It's a little more aggressive. Like when it's cold, it's really cold in comparison to Miami, right? It just changes a little bit. Here it gets a little bit hot.
Completely different. It's almost like when you travel into Miami, it's like you go through some kind of barrier. That's like a completely different
exactly,
world.
Man, exactly. And it's just where it's located, the Atlantic, the wind current, the currents, the wind. It's just crazy. But yeah, here in Tampa, for quite a while, we get really nice weather. So I'm waiting for that to happen, which is gonna be in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. And we just this heat, man. Oh, and it you see the indexes, it feels like 110, 87% humidity. It's brutal. And we've had it a little bit longer than usual. So right now everybody's like, all right, it's time for sweater weather coming soon. So yeah, no, it's crazy, man.
So as we approach kind of the end of our hour together, I want to make sure we get all the plugs in. So for people who want to follow Camacho, and I know you work a little bit with Avo as well. So
Yeah.
just drop all the plugs for people to get connected with the different brands that you work with.
Yeah, so I handle the social media on both brands, right? So for Avo, you can find us. It's just the easiest way to kind of engage with us in terms of content. And if they have any questions, just the handle is at Avo Cigar, not cigars, cigar. And basically, if you have a question about the blends or comment on a picture, whatever, I'll be the one responding. And on Camacho as well, same thing. I am your Camacho guru. So whatever you guys have any questions, or if somebody wants to share a photo, just send them our way at Camacho Cigars. That one is plural, Camacho Cigars. That way, we can stay in contact, and that's just the way that we're evolving our Instagram presence as well, right? Before it was managed differently, but now I think having one person do it, which is myself, it just gives that human touch that we needed, and it's worked out very well. I've been doing it probably about almost close to a year now, since I fully took over the social media, and I think it's beneficial for everybody, for the consumers, and again, Camacho is global, so I talk through there with people all over the world. And it's a great platform to kind of interact with consumers. So Avo at Avo Cigar, and then Camacho at Camacho Cigars.
Right. And then as Kathy said, as we kind of wrap up for today, congratulations on your baby. I know.
Oh yeah, baby Sebastian.
I know. I've been following, like I said, I've been looking at your Instagram, so I see all the baby pictures, and I'm thinking to myself, like, one of the good things about COVID and not traveling is that at least you have that time.
You have no idea how,
which is important.
What a blessing that was from, well, I mean, my girl was pregnant when we saw you in at the Davidoff store in the Hard Rock in Miami. She was pregnant then, and through the end of the pregnancy, I was already, stuck at home. And then now that the baby's out, he's going to be 4 months next week. It's crazy. I've been able to be in there, just on a daily basis, which is very crucial. It's a lot of work having a baby, no sleep. I thought it was just a myth or something before, like, oh my God, yeah, you don't sleep, right? I have not had, more than a full night's sleep in 4 months. And then every night it wakes up every 2 hours or something like that. So it's a lot of work. It's rewarding. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, it's we're super happy about it, and he could have not come. Unfortunately, it was a rough time for some, but for us, for me, he could have not come at a better time so that I could be there. Because my job is to travel. I for years I've traveled. I usually go a couple weeks without coming back. But now it's be able to be home and be at the office, and we're working from home as well. That has been that tremendous. It's helped out a lot. So thankfully everything has worked out in a very pleasant manner in that end.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I know I see the countdown going on, so thank you so much.
Oh, no problem, man. Thank you for having me here
and sharing your story and talking about Camacho today. And I look forward to our next encounter whenever that is, with COVID going on.
For sure, man. We're here. If you have any questions or anything, you know how to contact me. But again, thank you for having me. You've had some big names here, on your show. So I'm humbled to join the list. And thank you for having me. This was good. I was able to enjoy my last cigar of the day, peacefully here in our studio, and then have a nice chat with you.
Thank you.